here I have my rhubarb that I've cut up. So I've just sliced it up like that. I'm going to add probably about a cup of water to that and about 1/4 cup of sugar. Then I'm going to bring it to the boil. Once it's boiling, I'll turn it right down and simmer it for probably about 10 minutes until it's cooked right through. And we'll bring you back as we go through each stage of that. And there you have it. The rhubarb is simmering away there. It's come to the boil. I've turned it down. It's probably been cooking for about 5 minutes. I think another 5 minutes will do. There's some quite thick rhubarb in there. I just want all that to break up. So another 5 minutes. And then we'll have a look at it. Okay, so our rhubarb has finished cooking. And you can see it's all broken up there. It's looking quite nice. It smells delicious too. So what we're going to do with this now, wow, that's really hot, but there's a good reason that I'm going to be using it while it's hot. Now I want to put some in this bowl here. And again, it's one of those recipes where whatever ratio suits your taste. So I'm making apple crumble. Now these are apples that I stewed, and these come from my tree. These are Granny Smith apples, and I stewed these back in May when I was picking apples off the tree, and obviously I had too many. I've had a few bags like this and I've used them all. This is the last one. So what I'm going to do, that is a little bit defrosted. I've had it out while I've been preparing the rhubarb. But I'll put that in there, and that heat from the rhubarb will help to defrost the apple. So once that all breaks up, I'm going to put it in a container and put the topping on. Now, I'll show you how I make the topping. We'll leave this sitting to defrost. I think that this recipe in America is called apple crisp. So correct me if I'm wrong, but let's have a look first. Let's have a look at the ingredients we're going to be using for the topping. Now the ingredients we're going to be using to make our topping, we're going to be using some flour. I don't have any plain flour, so I've just grabbed out the self-raising flour. It doesn't really matter, but plain flour would be the preference in this normally. And we're going to use some rolled oats, some brown sugar, and some margarine. And it's another one of those recipes, I know I keep saying, oh, there's no real quantities in this. There isn't, but I'll give you an idea of what I'm using. So I'll probably use about a cup of flour there, is what I'm putting in. Let me bring my bowl over a little bit closer. That's about a cup. I'm just judging it by eye. And then to that, I'll probably add about 1/3 cup of margarine. Again, you might want to use butter in this, but at the moment butter is very expensive, so working towards a budget. Let's just put it that way. So I'm just putting my hands in there, rubbing the butter through that flour, and we're just rubbing it through until it's like fine breadcrumbs. I've seen people use, I don't know what the name of it is, but it's a little utensil where you can just cut through the butter when you're making these sort of things. Now I need more flour there. I'll just wash my hands and I'll be back to add more flour. Now I've added way too much butter to that, so I'm going to top it up with flour. And what I usually do, So there I've added there's now about, I may as well just add the rest, there's not much left in there. That's probably about 2.5 cups of flour to about 1/3 cup of margarine. So as I was saying, what I generally do, I'll make a whole load of this topping, then I'll just put it in a bag in the freezer, and when I want to make a crumble, either an apple crumble or an apple and rhubarb crumble, I've got it there. I just have to stew the fruit, stick this on top, it's all ready to go. So just need to add some add some oats. That's about 1/2 cup of oats, maybe 3/4 cup, and brown sugar. It's about 3/4 cup of brown sugar in there as well. It's about a cup. Okay, sorry. Not very helpful in the measuring quantities, but the main thing with this is that when you add your margarine to your flour, that you mix it and it's like breadcrumbs. Right, that's all mixed through. We're definitely not going to be using all of that, but that's great because I'm going to put that in the freezer and then it's ready for whenever I want to make this. Okay, just wash my hands again. Okay, like I always say, I'm giving this to someone for a meal or for a dessert, and so I'm going to be making it in a foil tray. Okay, that apple is breaking up now. So that's another thing you can do. You don't have to be growing apples on your own tree, but if you see something when you go to the fruit and veg shop and you see something on special and it's a real good bargain, it might be apples. This is what you can do. You can take them home, stew them, put them in individual serve size and freeze it. And that way it's ready for you. And the other thing you can do, if you've got a dehydrator, you can dehydrate them. So I did dehydrate apples as well. And that would have been another way I could have done this, but all of the dehydrated apples got eaten. But if I didn't have frozen apples, I would have got out the dehydrated apples and I would have added it to the rhubarb mixture. I would have let them plump up a bit, let them sit for a while, and then I would have made this. Okay, let's add this to our I couldn't have done it better if I had measured it. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, and now we just need to top it with our crumble mixture. So you can put this on as thick or as thin as you like. I like to have a nice thick topping. What you'll find is that as that bubbles up when you cook it in the oven, the juices get to it, some of it will sink down. So you have a nice generous topping on the top. It gets a chance to brown off and go a little bit crunchy. There we go. All we need to do now to serve that is to pop it in the oven, bake it at 160 degrees Celsius for a fan forced oven, and just cook it until it's brown on the top. That's all you need to do, and then it's ready to serve. It's beautiful to serve with ice cream, or you can have it with custard, or just like it is, just that by itself. Okay, I hope you try this recipe, and I will put a description of everything that we've used and an approximate measurement as well. So just keep in mind that the measurements that you read are approximate only, and just do it how you like. You may not like oats, you can leave them out. Some people do. You might like to add something else to it. Yeah, feel free to experiment with it, and I'd love to hear if you do something different and how it goes. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks once again for joining me. Bye.